You are watching Skip Bayless Unleashed. If you haven't watched, the latest episode of the Draymond Green show dropped on Friday. You should watch it. I sit across from Draymond Green. He's been an adversary of mine. We've traded shots over the years, multiple times. I sat across from Draymond Green up on stage before a live audience of, a couple hundred people for 2.5 hours. And I'm pretty sure Draymond didn't want to stop at 2.5 hours because we really weren't finished. I prepared for a showdown, a battle, and it was not that. It was a lengthy, deep exchange between two people who were showing deeper sides of themselves that they don't often get to show publicly. I did connect with Draymond. He did shock me with how much he treated me with respect, with a deeper understanding of what makes me tick, and then vice versa. This show ended up more about Draymond than about me because I think he showed you psychological sides of the two Draymonds that he hasn't often shown before publicly. And he went very deep into the night in Game 4 that he loudly called LeBron James a bitch, how he apologized to LeBron for doing so, how that word and his antics and cheap shots and popping LeBron in the nuts shockingly got him suspended for Game 5 and changed NBA Finals history. History was changed that night that he got suspended. LeBron obviously went on to pull off the all-time feat of coming back from 3 games to 1 because Draymond missed Game 5. And Draymond had the game of his life in Game 7, 32 points, 15 rebounds, 9 assists, 6 of 8 three-point shots that he made. And as he told me face-to-face, eye-to-eye up on that stage, he believed that in the end, the basketball gods were not going to let him win MVP, not after what he had done that had gotten him suspended. That was powerful to me. Much of what Draymond said, powerful. I highly recommend that you watch this episode and all that came out of it because of Draymond's pulling back the curtain on Draymond, on the two Draymonds, the off the court, on the court. The off the court can be so likable, lovable, so charismatic, so charming, so smart. Such a great smile, such a great self-deprecating sense of humor off the court. I made the case very powerfully to him, and we did do a gotcha segment where he was nailing me or throwing up to me all the things I've said about him. And yet, my hopefully powerful point about him was, all you have to do is look at the YouTube compilations of all of his cheap shots. He is the dirtiest player in the history of the NBA when you add all that together. He was also the guts and the glue and the essential ingredient to 4 championship seasons, 4 rings that he has, 4 all-star appearances. 9 times first team all defense, 1 defensive player of the year, once led the league in steals. He did all that, and he's averaged for his career 9, 7, and 6, and he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, as I told him to his face. He's, in my book, first ballot Hall of Famer at 9 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists. That's never happened before because that won't work. That should disqualify anyone from getting in, especially on the first ballot, to the Basketball Hall of Fame. No, he's first ballot because he overachieved at such a high level as a 4-year college player, a second-round pick, who became the crucial ingredient to 4 championships because that finesse team that he fell into, the Golden State Warriors, featuring Steph and Clay, that finesse team needed an edge. It needed, I can't go enforcer on Draymond. That's not what he's been. Not an enforcer a la Oakley or Maurice Lucas or Karl Malone, or he's not that. He just plays so competitively hard. He scratches and claws so hard that he sometimes goes over the edge reaching for an edge. And the edge is dirty. It's cheap shot city. He is a cheap shot artist. Just go look at the compilation. I can't change that. I can't undo that. I can't argue that away. I can just tell you that it was a necessary ingredient to 4 championships. And he made such a powerful case to me the other night that now that he, at 35, he works harder and harder to listen to his counseling and try to mature some of that out of him, those cheap shots, those over-the-edge plays, the wheeling smack of Nurkic in the face, and the choking of Gobert, the stomping on Sabonis, and the 2 knees to the groin to Steven Adams. I can just go on and on and on, popping LeBron in the nuts. It's just one after another. And yet now Draymond is saying that as he tries to grow up and grow out of all that he's losing some of his physicality edge on the floor. And I get that. And I made the point about my mother back to him, not that my life can even begin to compare to his, but I grew up with an extremely alcoholic mother, really just was alcoholic wreck, and then had a wreck driving drunk that very nearly took her life, and finally forced her to go to Alcoholics Anonymous, and it saved her life and it changed her life. But as she worked through the counseling, the 12-step program of AA, the mother I grew up with, who I actually loved because she had such edge to her, she had such charisma and such charm, but she was so flawed that I never could trust her, because when I least expected it, she became fall down drunk and an embarrassment to me. And the point is that the mother I got post AA wasn't the same mother anymore. She was nice, and she was quieter. She was more reserved. She was more distant from me, I felt like. And that's Draymond now. He's fighting through this, and he's getting, quote unquote, sober on the basketball floor. And anyway, all this was very touching to me. You should watch it. And for once, I would encourage you to read the comments. Read the comments, because they're interesting. People got this. People were touched by this. We both showed sides of ourselves that I guess you don't see very often. Watch it. And yet, let me end with this. We obviously argued about LeBron's ranking all time. I've got him 9th all time. People say, oh my God, you can't have LeBron James 9th. And I say, yeah, but look at who I have above him and take them head to head and tell me LeBron, the total package is more valuable than this, and this. I got 8 people above him. And the 8, I'll go off the top of my head. Obviously, Jordan's in another universe from LeBron James. 1, Magic, greatest winner ever. Is 2. And then I go Shaq and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, just dominant forces in the paint, obviously. And then I've got the great Tim Duncan. He should have 6 rings, if not for Ray Allen at the end of Game 13, end of regulation. Game 6 of the 2013 finals. I can't even talk about it, what happened to my Spurs that night. But then the great Bill Russell. Just look at the championships, look at the leadership, look at the big game performances where he just, with his will and psyche and basketball IQ, dominated a Wilt Chamberlain who was, 5 inches taller. Dominated him again and again and again. And then we've got Kobe, obviously. And then we've got Larry Bird, obviously, ahead of LeBron at 9. So then I go straight home from this 2.5-hour, quote-unquote, battle that wasn't with Draymond Green, and I see that Steph Curry, obviously the light of Draymond's basketball life, they've been great together. They were born to play together. And Draymond, I saw some stat where he's contributed to 85% of Steph's scoring in the NBA. He's been a part of it in some way, shape, or form. But I saw that Steph had gone on Matt Barnes, I think it was, podcast, and revealed his all-time starting 5. These are obviously the 5 players together that Steph would say is all-time unbeatable. And obviously he started with Jordan for killer instinct. That's what I told LeBron, that killer instinct alone is why I would elevate Jordan above LeBron. And then he went with Magic because of the elite playmaking. He's Magic just won. He just was the all-time winner. And then he went with Shaq because of just paint dominance. That Shaq, that 2001-2, right in there, Shaq was, my God, he was just a force unlike any I've ever seen in all the time I have covered basketball. And then you've got Tim Duncan. Steph went with Tim Duncan just on fundamentals. I mean, he's a forward, center forward, unlike anything you've ever seen. You want to talk about winning, you want to talk about leadership, you want to talk about big game performance, making all the right little big plays. It's just Tim Duncan. And then Larry Bird. Steph took Larry Bird on shooting touch. I mean, just lethally sweet shooting, lethally sweet shooting, just pure as the driven snow shooting. My God, Larry Bird. And you want to talk about killer instinct? You want to talk about clutch? It's just Larry Bird. So there it was. He took Larry Bird in that position over LeBron. And I'm with you. It's close, but I'm taking Larry Bird, and so did Steph. So that sort of crescendoed my great night with Draymond, was that I argued for those players above LeBron, and so did Steph. Draymond's basketball soulmate Steph argued for those 5 as his starting 5, as a unit, as a unified unit that could play off each other. By the way, Larry Bird, great passer. So is LeBron, great passer. But Larry Bird's got the whole package. Whew. And, well, I'll leave it at that. You should watch this episode. There's so much there that will be entertaining and enlightening. And I'm blessed I've had the opportunity to get to know Draymond in a foxhole setting where you're face to face, eye to eye, guts to guts, opinion to opinion, in the sort of foxhole in front of a live studio audience, and you have to go at it. And we went at it without really going at it. We never got mad. We never lost tempers. It was beautiful. It was fun. It was enriching for me. You should watch it.